Hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome back to episode 3 of the Critics, Writers, and Weebs podcast. I'll be one of your hosts, Star, and of course, I'm always with my friend NoTea. Today we have a really special episode. This is recommended to us by NoTea. NoTea, would you like to explain what we're doing today?
So, as we're probably going to be explaining a lot in the future, both Star and I are massive, massive One Piece fans. It's like,
The largest.
you literally have a giant Whitebeard tattoo on your back.
Exactly.
And I am planning on getting Law's tattoos on my forearms at some point when I have the money for it.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many. This is a side topic, but there are so many tattoo ideas to get with One Piece. It's too hard, but those are both really good ones, and I think he'll look great.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I digress.
yeah. So, we are both massive One Piece fans, and I know we would both really want to talk about it, but then seeing how our Mob Psycho review came out to like almost 2 hours. I'm like, if we try doing something like that for One Piece, it'll just be like a 6 hour long video, and I don't think anyone's gonna watch that.
You think it'll stop at 6?
I
I think we could talk for maybe a 24-hour long episode.
I'm not gonna argue against that because we like the worst part wouldn't be the length; it'd just be how many side things we'd be going on the entire time.
Yeah, exactly. So this is like a good way to keep it constructed so that we don't take up too much time. But we will have plenty more One Piece videos in the future.
Oh, definitely. But for today,
And
we're just starting
yeah,
off with a simple tier listing of all the arcs in One Piece.
so for those of you who don't know, maybe some of our viewers haven't seen One Piece or read One Piece. It is grouped up into different categories because it is super long. So there are uh, what, 7 or 8 sagas now?
Uh, one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine. I think we're on Saga 11 at this point.
So okay, so there's 11 sagas, and those are each broken up into specific arcs, and they're just story arcs that are usually fitted to a specific island, grouping of island, or major event.
Yeah.
And so today we'll be covering the arcs, so the specific stories that kind of have a beginning and end inside of one.
Yeah. Going over which ones we think are the best, which ones are just okay, our least favorites. I I'm curious what your least favorite versus my least favorite is going to be because we talk about what we love about One Piece all the time. We don't talk about our least favorite aspect of the series at times. So,
Yeah, it's pretty difficult, right?
yeah.
To talk about what you don't like about a series that you love so much.
Yeah. And safe to say spoilers, spoilers most likely for everything.
Very safe to say. Yeah, just if you haven't, please read One Piece or watch it, whichever you prefer. Um, it is possible. I know a lot of people see the amount of chapters, the amount of episodes, and think, I can't do it. You can. Trust me. If I can do it, you can do it.
You did it in like less than a month. Like,
It took 30 days for me to read all of One Piece. I don't recommend that
I heavily
unless
not
you
recommend it.
are. Yeah, I do not recommend that. Um, it is a lot of information to retain at a given moment. Luckily, I have a lot of background in reading and analyzing information and taking it in very quickly, so I got pretty lucky. Have the skills to do so, but please give it a shot. I think my friend started it in June and he finished it in December. So realistically, you can, if you're reading at a steady pace, get through it in about 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And that seems like a huge, crazy amount. Please give it a shot.
You'll be wishing for more by the end of it.
Yeah, I'm still wishing for more. I don't want it to.
We still got another couple years, buddy. But shall we start?
Absolutely. Let's get started.
Okay, first off, the very first arc of the series, Romance Dawn. And I believe this is first chapter introduction all the way up to when they beat up Morgans and they leave with Zoro.
Okay. All right. That's what I figured. Um, So a lot of people kind of say that like One Piece starts is like slow or it's not interesting at the beginning, and I've said to you many times, but like I completely disagree.
Oh, 100%. It is good from the beginning.
I think from Romance Dawn, you get to see excellent story building or character building, excellent world building, and it is literally the rags to riches story. We see the rags. He starts in a barrel. You know how hard it is to kayak on a river? He starts in the major ocean in a barrel.
Literally just does not know
So
where he's going.
he had no idea, no clue, no plan. And so we get to see that. And we are introduced to some major characters early. Kobe, uh,
Helmeppo, surprisingly.
Yeah, Helmeppo, surprisingly, and Zoro, of course. Um, so I think this is fair to say. I'm gonna say A tier.
I'm also gonna go A. It's like it's less a lower rank because of its own faultings, but more it just gets that much better as it goes on. It,
Yeah, it's the start that you could really hope
yeah, like it's the humblest beginnings to one of the like most intense epic stories ever told. Now, Orange Town. This one's I've heard a lot of mixed things on Orange Town from people.
for. I can't say I like Orange Town as much as I liked Romance Dawn, just because I do think it was such a wonderful start.
Yeah,
But
it's like
um,
it was very much our first time actually seeing the structure that most of the series follows. Just like
right,
crew comes to town, town is taken over by like pirates or something like that. Fight pirates, leave.
yeah, and for the setup of what is the first major like kind of arc, really have too much to say that's negative about it, right?
Yeah, it's like it really showed what it was going to do. First off with Choo Choo, kind of talk about the dog, like, hey, meet a dog a chapter ago, now you're crying over it.
Yeah, I mean that kind of mentality where it's like they can introduce characters and very quickly make you feel something emotional or have an emotional connection with those characters. We very like it's a dog, and honestly, I don't think we've seen too much of him ever again, besides on like a cover story or two.
Yeah,
But
I am
you
still
still remember.
I'm still very upset he was cut out of the live action.
Well, I mean, what he was at 2 seconds of screen time,
Yeah,
right? Which is when they have to condense so long of a chapter into or so long of an arc into like one episode. I get why they
yeah,
cut Choo Choo, but like, come on,
yeah.
what a great character!
Yeah. But it also introduces Buggy the Clown. He might be my
What a
favorite character in the
great,
entire series.
what a great
Yeah.
character! And it's like I remember at first, you kind of look like when I first started One Piece, everyone kind of said, "Oh, Buggy, Buggy, Buggy," and I was like, "Well, I don't get it,"
Yeah,
but
it's like there's
you
like
get it later.
there's a weird trend with the series where you have like characters who are like the main villain of the arc they could show up in, and they're fine. They do their job appropriately enough, but then they come back later as a side character, and they're just the best part of it. And
Yeah, and
Buggy fits that to
Buggy's
a
one of
T.
those characters.
As the main villain, he's serviceable. He's got some really funny moments. I loved him getting kicked in the dick. That was absolutely hilarious. But he doesn't leave much of an impression. But then he just keeps coming back, and every time he comes back, it is just better that he's coming back because he doesn't belong here anymore.
Yeah, and specifically in that arc, you get to see how One Piece characters can be menacing. It is primarily a very happy, joyous show, but the characters can still be very menacing. Very, like, at first, Buggy is seemed to be a powerful villain.
Oh yeah, there was a point where he was a big threat that we had to deal with.
Yeah, like he was a threat. It's like, well, okay, let's figure this out. But very easily, it kind of gets handled by the crew, which now this is Nami's introduction
Yeah,
to, or is
Nami
that yeah,
shows up and joins the crew at this point.
yeah, joints. We'll get to that.
Yeah, I'd give this arc a solid B. It is Not as good as Romance Dawn, but it's not bad. It is
Hmm.
it's good.
I would go like if we had the category B plus. Obviously, we're just doing
Yeah.
solid grades, so yeah, B is fine. Higher end of B for sure.
Mhm. Okay, so next up, Syrup Village. I'm not sure if this is a hot take or not. I don't mind this arc that much. I know a lot of people
I
don't
see.
like it.
I don't get. Yeah, every person I talk to is like, "Ooh, Syrup Village, so bad."
Maybe
I never saw that.
is it an anime thing where the beach episodes are just paced not that well? This is East Blue. This is when the pacing still isn't awful in the anime. But so
Yeah, so
I mean, Kuro
I
is kind of a weak villain. Like
I was
he's
a weak villain, but once again, he's relatively menacing for our crew. I mean, he pretty easily handled Zoro in the first encounter,
yeah.
and this is where we also get a lot of Zoro's backstory, right?
In
It
the
is like
I think in the manga
in the
we got his backstory in Romance Dawn.
early romance.
Are you thinking
Yeah,
of the live
well,
action where they put in
man,
his
there's
back?
too much One Piece.
There's too much yet, not enough. We are
Not
cursed.
enough.
But
But this definitely introduces Usopp.
yeah, and I know a lot of people don't like him at first. I do really like Usopp's introduction.
Yeah, it takes that the boy who cried wolf story, and at first you're like, oh, okay, he's just saying this. There's not, and then once again, it's a character we just got introduced to in the arc, and immediately, probably 10 chapters later, we're giving a very sad backstory as to why he makes these lies.
You also see who he really is and what he stands for. Like, you see he's a lying coward, but he still cares about people and he still wants to do right by people.
Yeah, he's a righteous coward
Yeah,
who always had a negative personality.
that
Later arc.
we're gonna talk about that later. But I'd also give Syrup Village a B. I would
I would
definitely place it
actually
lower than than Orange Town, but I still would put it top B. It is a solid arc.
I think they're on the same. For me, it's a like I would put like that upper B category. I really like them both.
Yeah,
Once again, I do not understand the hate for One Piece early, and most of the time, I think it's because they are anime onlys.
probably. It's like
And
I hear a lot.
regardless, it's great.
I hear a lot of people say like people would drop the anime because of Syrup Village. I'm like, I okay then.
But Sierra Village was probably the first time One Piece kind of made me like teary eyed, a little
Mm,
sad, because like the interactions with Usopp and his mom, and then later finding out like his dad is Yasop, and it's
yeah,
like okay, and then like leaving Kaya and all. It's just it's really heartwarming, and it does make you feel. If you didn't like Usopp, or if you did like Usopp, it does make you feel more amiable with him.
yeah.
You feel like yes,
You get more of a full perspective on his character and what he stands for. Like you understand him by the time we leave.
yeah. I think it's a nice little story. Like,
Yeah,
if it was like its own kind of series, like in post-war, like New World era. Like, imagine if we moved that to New World with the current cast, and like if it might be interesting to see
yeah,
something that's similar to Syrup Village, done post Egghead.
yeah. Well, we are moving way too fast to have any stops at this point. But next up,
We will. This is just East Blue Saga.
yeah,
We will have plenty of times to talk and stop when we get to our real favorite.
yeah. Next up, Baratier. I really like this arc.
It's hard for me to not say this is S.
I was going to give it like a high A above Romance Down, but I am fine giving it an S. Like this is
I'm like torn. It's either A plus. I think it would be probably an A plus. So this would be like the highest end A.
for right now, yeah. It's like
Yeah.
if Orange Town was kind of a real sample of what the structure was going to be like, this arc showed kind of how effective that structure could be.
Yes, absolutely. And it introduces Sanji, who's a very divisive character. But at his earliest introductions, I quite like Sanji.
Yes, this is very much Sanji at his most tolerable until
We'll get to
We'll get
Fishman.
to that. We'll get to that.
Let's
But,
not
yeah.
skip Fishman.
But yeah. We get introduced to Sanji. We meet Zeph, who is one of my favorite side characters. I love him so much.
Great side character.
It's like the entire location of the Bratier is just really fun. I love what they did in the live action for that. Like,
yeah, that's honestly one of the best episodes of the live action.
Yeah. Don Krieg is a better villain than Kuro. I'll say that.
Yeah, it's. I don't even know if I could say that. They're pretty much the same in my opinion, with their differences, of course, being like what they stand for, ability, such. But one thing that is in Baratier is, of course, Mihawk versus Zoro.
Yes.
And that's why I'm like, okay, that scene is S, but I think the whole arc is A.
Yeah, that's true. It has some S moments, like you have Zoro versus Mihawk, and then Sanji leaving Baratier are both like,
which is great. Another really emotional moment. You feel for Sanji, you feel for Zeph, but that speech that Zoro gives after losing to Mihawk is so memorable and leaves such an impact on the viewers.
Yeah.
It also injures him for the next arc.
Yeah, it's like it's also kind of a big deal because like at this point Zoro's just been bulldozing his way through everyone, even with all his injuries. He's just kind of been unstoppable, and this is the first time that he was just defeated. No like excuses, no like weaknesses, nothing. It was just he was just beaten. That was it. He had no chance of winning this, and it really did a good job of showing kind of the full scale of the world we're about to go into. Because at this point we've been dealing with things at our main character's level. So this is like the first, no, this is what the world is going to be like. This is what you're going to have to deal with if you want to accomplish your dreams.
Yeah, that's the exact point I was going to make. This is the first time we're introduced to one of the 7 warlords of the sea. Mihawk being that character, but we know he's just one of 7. He is technically the greatest swordsman on the planet, but he's just one of 7 of these ultra powerful pirates that we are introduced to. And it's like, now we know, oh my gosh, there's at least 7 more. Or 6 more. I can't do math.
Yeah, 6 more.
But yeah, Baratier, what a fantastic arc. Great scenery, great world building, and great character interactions, with the last one being, of course, Tommy leaving the crew and stealing their ship, stealing the gold.
I remember watching that for the first time because I watched the anime for a little bit, then I switched over to the manga when the pacing started bothering me. I was so mad when she stole the ship. I was right there with Zoro, just like, let's just leave her, go on, do something else.
But once again, Luffy's character is called into question, and we get to see who he truly is, what he stands for.
I hear people say Luffy's boring. Like, that is
like the opposite of what he is.
That is an objectively wrong take.
Yeah, like, okay, I could get if some main characters are boring, but Luffy is quite the opposite. He is honestly the perfect protagonist.
Oh, definitely. Like, there might be characters who are better written than Luffy.
Yeah.
But none of them could be the main character of this series.
No, I would not switch the character writing from any other series and put it into one. Because genuinely, Luffy needs to be the main character. We need to see his perspective, his journey.
And kind of how his character is written is so naturally intertwined with the themes that the story may not be presenting now, but definitely builds up over time. Like, we start off with a fun pirate adventure, and we're going to full revolution as like manifesto kind of stuff.
Yeah, and we know his goal. He wants to be king of the pirates, right? But we don't know specifically like what that means, right? We know his goal is to find the One Piece. We know the specific, but generally, what does that mean? What does being king of the pirates mean?
Well, it's like we find out what it means to Luffy in Subodi Archipelago, which we'll talk about later. It's
right.
It is just freedom.
It is pure freedom, and
which
matches, once again, that's just a general answer, right?
Yeah, but it matches his character so perfectly. Everything he has told us, everything he has shown. He wouldn't want this big title for the fame or the glory. He just wants to be free.
And what true freedom is, he wants the world to be free. And he genuinely cares about people. Like, which is hard to understand when it's a pirate story that he has genuine care for
Yeah.
people, but he wouldn't be the protagonist if he didn't care about people. We
Yeah.
wouldn't root for him if he wasn't a good person,
Hmm.
which he's a questionable person,
He's
but
definitely made some iffy decisions we'll talk about later, but getting back on topic. So Bratier S moments, but in A tier arc, still
I
strong
would
stuff so
agree.
far. Arlong Park.
This
uh,
is easy.
I'm I'm giving this either an S or a double S. I don't really care which one it goes in. This was
I'm gonna say S just because of what I'm thinking goes in double S,
true.
but it is.
It's
I mean, honestly, I wouldn't necessarily have a problem putting it like at bottom SS.
yeah. I'm like I. This is a very cool take. Everyone's felt this. This was the arc that really showed One Piece was different. Like
Exactly.
like Brate was really good. It kind of showed a lot of like the emotion, the intensity, the stakes, the themes, everything that I was pushing for. But Arlong Park really showed how much the series can kind of cut to the core of a lot of things. Like,
I think I'm okay putting it in SS because there are way too many SS moments
honestly,
to count.
I'm gonna put in double S, but every time we put something else in there, I'm probably gonna move it down a bit more. But it's double S right now. This
it's
is
Yeah, it earned it. We have a fantastic fight because we are given that Arlong and the pirates are stronger than Luffy
like this is our
at first in Baratie.
yeah. This is. Are you
Or
thinking of the
maybe
live
it
action
was
again?
Arlong. No. I think it was Arlong, where because they have like an initial scrum on the like right outside of the island. I can't remember the name of it. Right?
You, I can't
No,
help
no,
but feel
no.
like you talk about the live action again.
No. I'm not. It wasn't Baratier for sure, but I think it's like they have an initial scrum, and then we see. Okay, it's been a while. It's been a
Uh,
while since I read Arlong Park.
Fair enough. I don't blame you, but
Or no, that's. I don't know what I'm thinking of.
what are you thinking of?
I don't know. I just manifested 10 chapters. I think.
I mean, in this series, most people probably would just casually forget 10 chapters.
Oh, I think I made 10 more on accident.
But
But
the
what?
emotional,
Yeah,
it's like I said, everything else that came before it is really good. It is really solid. But Arlen Park is really like, oh, this is going to change my life and take over my soul for God knows how long. I have been following the series for like 4 years now, and I've barely thought of anything else at the entire time.
yeah. Arlong has some of the most important and some of the most memorable moments in One Piece. Um, I think the most obvious one, I think we have to talk about this scene, is of course like Luffy help me.
It's like that scene is so effective because of all the build up towards it and everything we have been seeing now and try to go through. Like until this arc, Nami was just she was not a very good person. She was
No.
slimy, corrupt. She didn't have any loyalty to anyone. She will screw over anyone she has to kind of make sure she's always on top. But then you see why.
Why?
You see what she's doing all this for, where this all comes from. It all makes sense, and you wish she didn't have to be this. Like, well, you gotta see as a child, she was also kind of a dick as a child, but like,
And that's like the whole thing. Like she was not a good kid. She was not a good person. But this is where this is. I've said a lot of times, like in when we talked about Mob Psycho, how characters in manga and anime don't necessarily apologize by saying I'm sorry because those don't mean those are just words.
mm-hmm.
They apologize through genuine emotional moments and actions. And Nami saying Luffy help me is Nami apologizing and is Nami accepting the fact that everything that led up to this moment was like her she caused it in the end.
Well,
And so she wrecked it
it wasn't so much that she caused it, but more the fact that she couldn't do anything to stop it.
to
Like
stop it. Well, yeah.
every like at that moment, everything she'd been sacrificing her life, her soul, her body, like everything the past 10 years for, failed. She
Exactly.
gave it her all, and it just wasn't enough.
And she knew she needed someone. This was her first time that she wasn't doing something for herself. She needed to let someone do something for her. Which, that kind of sounds almost misogynistic, but that's not what it means. That's not what it is. That's not what it is. This is important, I swear. But it's a great fight. This is the best fight of um, East Blue Saga,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Aside from Nami, all the main characters really get a moment to shine. This has one of my favorite Usopp moments that we may need to do a video on the live action because I have so many things to say about that thing. But but everyone really gets a lot of cool moments. You really see how it is very interesting going back to this stuff and seeing how much stuff happens in it. Because like I remember Luffy getting his feet stuck in the rock,
and then falling into the water.
right?
That's the initial fight I was thinking of.
Yeah, then I forgot
But then I was
about.
like,
But then I forgot about the
good.
3 people that went in after him trying to save him. Like, this is really
Yeah,
going on for a while.
yeah, this is yeah. I mean, but that's the thing. It's like it's the first time where you get to see why One Piece takes so long. It's because all that build off has like a wonderful payoff.
Mm-hmm. But
And Arlong as a villain, it's hard to say he's better than Buggy because Buggy is just such a fantastic character. But for the specific arc that
yeah,
we are covering,
for this specific arc,
Arlong is the best of East Blue and Quarter villains.
it's also kind of really showing off Oda's ability to make you hate someone.
Oh yeah,
Because like we talk about how he's very good at making you try to like feel or empathize with the character. Sometimes he writes a character that you just hate with every fiber of your being, and Arlong is really the first example of this.
and he's pompous. He's an asshole. He literally just does like. Didn't he like just kill people? He acted like a pirate. Damn it, he acted like a pirate.
Yeah, it's like, and his character is retroactively more interesting because of what we see from him later, which
Yeah.
you never excuse him, but you can kind of understand the start of everything.
Mm. But yeah, from that arc, I'm okay. SS tier,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely.
Yeah, and that leads us to the last arc of the East Blue, which is Logetown or Roguetown, depending on your translation. It's
Logtown is another one that's like it's small and an outsider might view it as insignificant. I think it's important.
it definitely is kind. It serves as a nice goodbye arc to the East Blue. Like, okay, these are humble beginnings. From here on out, things are going to get intense.
Like this is where it starts, right?
Yeah. We get introduced to Smoker, who I still really like. I want him to show back up in the story again. We meet Dragon, which only time he actually does something.
Yeah, he can. Okay, done.
Yeah, it's like
Next.
this arc might be the only time he actually like was present somewhere and did something.
Yeah. This also, I think, with Smoker introduces Logias.
Yeah, the concept. We don't get a name for it now, but more the concept of.
But yeah, the concept of there is a specific type of, you know, devil fruit, which is one of the abilities in the series that none of our heroes possess.
Yeah, it's like we also get Buggy gets reintroduced in the main plot, and kind of
like great, we can see more of him.
Yeah. Well, it's like the funny thing is at first, Buggy is just an early stage villain. That's kind of all you expect from him.
Mm-hmm.
But he keeps coming back, and each time he does, you're more and more confused because he very much does not belong in the plot anymore.
He is stumbling into success, and it is at an alarming rate that people should be concerned about because he will be Pirate King.
At this point, yeah, like he has every accomplishment he has gained, he has not earned at all.
He's earned it by being him.
Even then, people assume he's something different than what he actually is.
Exactly, and it's great. I mean, but yeah, Logetown. What a good! It's that nice storybook ending that you need that says there's to be continued. but we're celebrating what we did.
Yeah. So I'd give it like a either high B above Orange Town Desert Village or like low A underneath Romance Dawn.
I'm okay high B. I
Yeah,
don't think it's A because I don't think it's Baratier or Romance Dawn
fair enough.
kind of quality.
Now, next up we enter to the Alabasta Saga. This is some good some good shit right here. Well, not until we reach Alabasta. It's like the Alabasta Saga is like a mixed bag, and then we get to Alabasta, which I'm excited to talk about that one. But we start off with Reverse Mountain.
Reverse Mountain. Once again, this is a Luffy character moment. This is where we see like we want to root for the crew, and yes, we are going to root for the crew.
Give me one moment. Something in my apartment's is making some noise. I'll be right back.
Good. In the meantime, I will entertain the viewers. How have I done? I have entertained. Congratulations, you have been entertained.
I literally ripped my fire alarm half out of the ceiling because it would not stop making noise at one point.
I've done that many times. Or if you just unscrew it and just leave it hanging, don't tell the fire department, but
that's how mine is right now. I took the battery out of it. It will not shut the fuck up.
yeah. But that's how we have connected.
But yeah, this is
Reverse Mountain.
Like you said, it's a very defining character moment for Luffy. He's a people person, even though he's really bad with people.
And he's good with whales. Laboon.
Whales.
Yeah, Laboon. I don't know how One Piece can always make me feel a connection to an animal, but it always does.
Well, it's like as you kind of see with like the animal theater cover pages that Oda does a lot. Dude just really likes animals. Like,
yeah, and you know who likes animals too? I do. You're in the ocean. There's so many cool animals in the ocean. Let's see more.
And what's cooler than a literal island-sized whale? But
2 islands.
Yeah, it's like pretty decent arc. We get introduced to like the log pose, the kind of navigation on the Grand Line, Miss Wednesday, and I forgot the partner's name, the dude with the baseball bats on the crown. I don't remember his name. I think it was like Mr. 9 or something.
Mr. 9. Yeah, Mr. 9.
Also, the scene where the crew is inside the boon and they first meet Crocus is one of the funniest scenes in the entire series.
Oh, it's genuine comedy gold.
Where it's like you have Zoro and Sanji, usually the level-headed ones, trying to talk to this old man, and he's just fucking with him the entire time.
And that's great. That's our interaction that we needed from, this is the levity that we need before it gets too serious in the future. Or we're not too far off from, some really deep stuff. So it's like, let's have a levity. Let's have a good time. Let's root for our heroes. Let's move on.
I'd give this like low B. It kind of, we're here for a bit, does what it does, and we kind of leave.
Yeah, it's fine. I would put it under Syrup Village.
Yeah, I'm putting it like bottom of beef right now. Whiskey Peak, mixed bag.
It's another mixed one, right? Because it's like
it does great work for setting up the rest of the saga. It's just,
it's a setup saga, or it's a setup arc.
Yeah,
that's it.
Also,
but we are introduced to Vivi and Karoo.
Yeah. Luffy versus Zoro was still really dumb, and I don't know why that happened.
I think they just did it to do it. I don't know. It's one of those writing decisions that Oda always does something right, but this is the one time where I'm like, maybe
it just felt so
this
out of
wasn't
character
a
for
good.
everyone.
It just didn't fit. Yeah, it's it. It just doesn't fit what we've seen up until that point, and what we see after, for that matter.
Yeah, it's like the only good thing to come out of that fight is just that scene from the 4Kids dub. Just hey Luffy, how you doing, buddy? Save it, Luffy!
Yeah. Nah, if you haven't seen that, even
It
if
is
you
like,
don't like One Piece, it'll make you laugh.
yeah,
It'll make you laugh.
I this might be the first C where it's like, it I this isn't an arc I'm excited to go back through every time I go through. Zoro fighting everyone is pretty fun, but that's about it.
Yeah. Was was this? Wait. Is it? Never mind. I'm thinking of Jaya. Never mind.
That's it. I'm putting in C. Do you have any like
I don't have any
observations?
issue putting it in C. I think it's not the best, but it's fine.
Yeah,
It is a
does
setup arc.
it does what it needs to.
Now, I will be honest with you. We have seen in the future we'll talk about these, of course, but there are arcs which are essentially just setup arcs that are done much, much better.
That work a lot better than Whiskey Peak.
Exactly.
But now Little Garden.
All right. I know so many One Piece fans who love Little Garden. This, honestly, is my least favorite arc of One Piece.
Really,
It's a weird take. I just couldn't connect to anything that was going on in the story.
this is it's another case now where the stuff happening during it is but then a lot of stuff comes back later that I like. Again, Mr. 3 is another person where I don't much care for him as the main villain of this, but as a side character later on, I fucking love him.
Yeah, like don't get me wrong, but
But he doesn't really work.
still, yeah.
And then also recording this at the same time of some of the recent stuff in the manga, and it's like, wasn't expecting this to come back, but okay.
Like, don't get me wrong, I'm happy the Giants are introduced. I'm happy there's a lot of lore between them and all the connections between the Old Kingdom and Luffy. It's great. But this arc as an arc, I couldn't get behind, and it was the first time I questioned One Piece
Hmm.
and Luffy versus Zoro. I don't know why this one just never stuck with me. It's a very, not a hot take, just a weird take. Not a lot of people say this, and that's
It's
why I have just a weird arc.
it's like
I couldn't connect with it.
I don't. This is not my least favorite arc in One Piece. I will talk about that later, but I don't feel much towards it. I think it's decent. I don't like watching in the anime. The anime really drags it down for me. In the manga, it's like I spend like a couple hours on it. I'm through it. I'm done.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like it didn't take too much of my time, so I can't say it's like bad. It's still C tier for me, but it's like the bottom. It is my least favorite.
I would argue I'd put it above Whiskey Peak because this does have more stuff I liked in it than Whiskey Peak.
If you want to put it there, I literally don't like it enough to care if it's put higher than something else. Like, is that weird to say?
It's this is not your least favorite arc out of hatred. It is your least favorite arc out of indifference.
Yeah, literally. It's like I read it. I know I read it, but at the same time, it's like did I read it? Because honestly, it just did not. It just did not connect with me. It's the one arc in One Piece that I have no personal attachment to.
Mm-hmm. I fair. I mean, I don't. I'm not really attached to it either. But next up, Drum Island.
What a change of pace.
It's Whiskey Peak and Little Garden were, but this is like okay, we're back
We're
to
back.
it.
Yeah, with Drum Island. Oh my gosh! First of all, we get one of the, I would say, funniest introductions to a character in the manga. Just Chopper doing the hiding behind a wall pose, where this is hiding is he's hiding his hands, not his body.
It's Chopper really is he the funniest on his own? Sometimes not really, but put him in any group dynamic and he works.
When he gets people to be his straight man to play off of him, very very funny character, and his introduction just shows them. But also a very compelling character. It's someone we root for. We want him to be a doctor. We want him to be so much more than just the reindeer that he is.
You want to see him form connections with people like he's always wanted.
And it also, once again, is a great moment for Luffy because he does not give up till Chopper joins the crew.
He very much harasses this small child. Well, first, he tries to eat the small child, and then he harasses him into joining his crew.
remember when we said that Luffy was overall a good person? He's still a pirate, remember?
I mean, Sanji also tried to cook him and eat him, so we don't. Imagine having to.
Sanji is a less moral person than Luffy.
Imagine having to explain that to like Chopper having to explain that to people when he's on his travels. Yeah, I met these guys. My master was healing them up, and they tried to eat me, but we got past that. We're cool. Although it is stated a couple times that they have still tried to eat him, so I don't know how he feels safe.
I wonder how many times Zoro tried it, because he always has like a almost like a younger brother vibe with Zoro. So it's
Yeah.
like I feel maybe he never tried to eat him, but we don't know.
It's like it's I don't know if I would feel safe if I had the knowledge that the people I was on a trapped boat with for like days at a time, that the thought of eating me has crossed their mind a couple times.
And still does.
Like it's so, like the option of eating me is not gone. That is always an option.
Didn't it just happen in the anime? Didn't he because they were hungry? Or am I mistaken?
Uh, Last time they tried to eat him was in a Whole Cake Island, so.
Oh, I just watched Whole Cake. That's right.
Oh, right. Yeah.
That's right.
We also get Wapple in this arc, who again is now important for some reason. Like, okay, why is it in Egghead so many stuff from the Alabasta saga is coming back?
Maybe maybe he just felt bad. He's like, maybe Alabasta doesn't get the love it deserves. Maybe they know that I don't like Little Garden, so they're like, let's just put the giants from Little Garden.
It's like Crocodile's now a global player again. Vivi is involved again. Wapple is involved again. The giants are back. We're going back to Alabasta a lot.
Alabasta's coming back to us.
Yeah. But I liked Drum Island.
This was one of the times I cried again. I really felt so much of a connection to Dr. Kureha, to Chopper, to Luffy's determination. Mm-hmm. It's just it's what you want to see. And that final, of course, the meme of Chopper crying, but it's a very funny scene. But yes, I love it. I love it so much.
Yeah, it's solid A, maybe like low A.
I'm good with A.
Yeah, I'm. It's not better than Baratier, but
I think it's better than Romance Dawn.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I'm fine with that. Alabasta. You know where I'm gonna try putting this?
It has been a long time since I read Alabasta, and honestly, it is better than I have given it, because I have been known to not hate it, just say I don't get why everyone says this is like S tier. I am willing to put it in S. I understand you want to put it to SS.
I've already put it in SS, so it's like you're going to have to put up a very convincing argument for me to move it down, because this is like one of my top 5 favorite arcs in the entire series.
I'll convince myself that it's SS, because honestly, it does have some absolutely fantastic.
It's like
this is one of the best, top 10 for sure.
Yeah, it's like, so Romance Dawn showed us what the series was going to be like. Barate showed us what it could be. Arlong Park showed us the kind of depths it can go to. And Alabasta was like taking all of that and then elevating it to a new level we hadn't really dealt with before.
Yeah, fantastic villains, fantastic.
Crocodile's one of my favorite. I love him so much. The entire plot is fantastic. The themes, the ideas, the way everything builds on each other, the way everything develops, the tension is... And then we just get to that final fight in the capital city. It's...
that final fight puts enough of an argument for me to say, yeah, I'll put it in SS. I have no issue. But yeah, for the first time I read through, I couldn't. Alabasta Saga. Maybe it was the drag of not connecting to some of the previous stuff, but once you get to Alabasta, you understand everything. It is a wonderful story. Vivi shines in the story for her moment that she gets to shine.
In terms of our characters that kind of travel with us for a little bit, she's definitely among the favorites. Her only real competition would be Law, technically. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's a hard comparison to make. But yeah, I mean, when Vivi gets her moments, it's great. I think this sets up what happens kind of in the first, like, pre-war, pre-time skip. Um, the how each major villain is defeated. How it's less of like, or up until Water 7, that is, but how like it's a gimmick. Luffy figures out a different way of winning that you
Yeah.
wouldn't expect, and filling his body with water is hilarious.
Water Luffy. I laughed out loud when that happened, and especially when like the hole in him started
Just
leaking. I was like,
he's like, ah.
and then just Crocodile like, the fuck am I supposed to do with this?
But um,
I'm,
once again, that fight is great, and it's really important because Crocodile beats Luffy 2 times, and then Luffy beats him.
yeah, like they fight 3 times, and Crocodile just beats him the first 2 times. So it's like, kind of like with Mihawk again, kind of showing the scale of what we're dealing with going forward. And this is the arc that really put the Straw Hats on kind of the global, not playing field, but this is when they start really getting the eyes of everyone.
They were on the rise.
Yeah.
People knew they were on the rise at this point, and all of Baroque works. It's hard for me to say who my favorite character is from that organization. Crocodile is fantastic. Mr. Three, fantastic, and later series, of course, and of course, Miss. Was it Miss? What? I don't remember her Alabasta name. Miss All Sunday, Robin.
Yeah, Miss All Sunday.
Miss All Sunday, yeah.
And let us not forget the absolute goat, Mr. Two Bankare.
Mr. Two Bonclay.
And let us not forget, and I'm never going to stop bringing this up, Crocodile respected their gender identity.
Always. Always. Actually, for most of the history of One Piece, Oda has respected specific gender identification.
Sometimes there's one case where I did not enjoy it. I will talk about that later. And on the subject of like queerness at One Piece, I need to know not alone this. Nami and Vivi were like really gay, right?
I like. Come on. They have to be.
Like it was.
I
Like there's literally an entire scene of Nami begging Usopp to make her a weapon so she can fight for Vivi. Like I feel like
I get it. A lot of people are thirsty for Nami, but like I want those two to be together. Let's push those two together.
I need Vivi to be reunited with like the main story in our character. So like legit, if when Vivi does get reunited with the crew, and the first thing she does is just kiss Nami, I will Venmo Oda $20.
Like, I need to do this.
Like
I promised.
It's like I will find Oda's ad on Twitter, ask him for his Venmo, and if he does that, I will give him $20. If it is just double page spread of those two kissing.
That's something you don't often hear too much discussion about. Of course, is relationships in One Piece and specific character.
What's like
who is the most? Well, we hear about ships all the
time. Ships are, but
easy.
I have been unwillingly exposed to kind of the main ships of the One Piece universe. Luffy is shipped with so many different people. Sanji is shipped with so many different people. Zoro is shipped with like 2 people, and they're both Luffy and Sanji.
Which, fair.
I haven't seen. Actually, no, I've seen Robin shipped with Zoro and Law, so never mind about that.
Well, that's still. But regardless, it is a genuine relationship. Mm-hmm. Like these two are believable as lovers. It's something that we could see because of their chemistry together in this arc.
There's a lot of chemistry, a lot of interaction. There's also just a lot of genuine care for the other person.
And we also, not to move on from relationships, but this is, I think, the introduction to Pluton, right?
The concept of the ancient weapons, we first
the ancient weapons.
Hear about it, like, because Crocodile's looking for that. Then this comes back,
which
doesn't come back until Wano, which
who would have guessed? But this is another great world building because you get to see some mythos and you get to see Luffy finally beat someone who's not East Blue.
Yeah, it's like this is an actual well-respected, well-known person that Luffy had to take out.
A very wealthy person with that wealth. I mean, he was broke works, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and he could be Luffy's mom. I'm still
I,
on the. I still believe that Crocodile is Luffy's mom, but
I,
look at his interactions with Ivankov. That's all
I,
I'm saying.
I am not against Crocodile being a woman. I believe in that theory. I believe it is true. I, I, I don't get how people go to Luffy's mom as the next part of
I
that theory.
I don't know. I just believe it
Like,
because
like
it
the
has. Think about it.
the only thing I'll say about that is like we already saw the internet's reaction to femlaw. If we get Croco Mommy, I
It's over.
think we would actually self-destruct as a community.
It's Gear Fifth all over again.
Gearfifth would pale in comparison to that.
this is like this is like a Paramount War 2.
This is like, well, fuck Wano, this is what we were all waiting for.
This is what we've been waiting. This is what I needed. But yeah, I mean, SS for Alabasta,
Yeah.
I'm okay with it. I would say S, but I'm not gonna fight you on it. It is fantastic.
Yay.
Of East of pre time skip, it's it's up there. I can't. I don't know. We'll get there when we get there.
Yeah.
But yes, it is so good.
So next up we have Jaya, which is another just kind of setup arc. This does a lot for the world building. We meet so many characters during this.
Jaya is a great introduction to so many characters, and most importantly, one of my favorite crews. But we get to see. This is our first time seeing Marshall D teach.
And he's introduced through Pi.
But once again, it's perfect because we see the two sides of the same coin. We see a person with the same ish goal as Luffy, of course, to be the Pirate King, to control the world essentially,
Well,
but through his own method of finding out the ancient past. And
well, for me, it's
that's
not
a
that
different story.
it's not that Teach has the same like dream as Luffy. It's more he has that same like determination.
Determination. Okay,
Like they very much
that's
think
much better.
the same way about about their dreams and how they kind of they're worth dying for. They are worth risking everything and fighting for.
Like they are both going to achieve what they want, and because of that, they're gonna clash.
Yeah.
And we get to see that through a wonderful analogy of, one loves the cherry pies, one hates the cherry pies. One loves just regular rum, one hates the rum.
Yeah. This also
And yeah,
this arc also does a lot for setting up stuff that have massive payoff in Skypiea.
yes, it
Like
does.
a lot of the stuff in Skypiea would not be as effective without Jaya kind of laying down some of the groundwork.
I heard some people actually will skip Jaya.
They skip Skypiea.
Bruh.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
I don't get it. Bro, I think Jaya's great. This is one of the better setup arcs. And the ending is so good.
Bellamy just
so good.
yeah. I'd be down. So I also like this arc because this is the first time really seeing Robin's dynamic with the rest of the crew.
Right. I mean, we don't think we mentioned that Miss All Sunday of Baroque Works, Robin, if you don't know, joins the crew after Alabasta. And
Yeah.
this is her first major time to spend with the crew.
Yeah, she is just a grown-ass adult surrounded by a bunch of children.
Literally. And man, would that be a wonderful time.
Yeah, I'd be like low A. I feel like forgiving Jaya like
I think it's probably, in my opinion, I put Jaya higher than Drum Island, but that's me.
yeah, I'm okay with that.
Okay. I'm fine with that too then.
Skypiea.
What a fun ride.
I wish we had more arcs like Skypiea.
Because it is really important, you know. It adds a great dynamic. It adds the phonoglyph that we needed. It adds so much to it. But man, this is like probably the most. It's hard to say, like the most non One Piece arc, but at the same time, the most One Piece arc.
It's the most plot detached from everything else.
But it's
Like,
fantastic.
I really wish we had more arcs that was just the Straw Hats going to a random place and just exploring and fucking around.
And literally fucking around because man, imagine being a god and then some what's Luffy, 19 years old, 17 years
He's
old at
17
this
at this
time?
point.
Yeah, at this point he's 17. So just imagine some 17-year-old shows up and you're like the god and he's practically basically immune to your god powers.
And at this point in time,
You are not a god to him.
and like at this point in time, you have steamrolled through every other opponent you've come across. No one has posed any level of threat to you, and then just nothing works on this kid.
And you're like, "What?" But that's a perfect metaphor for or simile for the series because of course Luffy isn't gonna bow down or be afraid of or be affected by a god. He's Luffy.
Even
Like,
before we found out about his devil fruit, he was always a god.
exactly. Also, I want to mention previous about Jaya that we get one of the greatest panels ever. A pirate's dream never dies.
Right, that one.
Forgot to mention that. I need to mention that because I love Blackbeard. So need to mention that.
It's like one criticism I will levy towards Skypiea. Well, two, 1.5 is like in the anime the pacing is god awful. Like I was watching the anime up until Skypiea, then I was about halfway through. I'm like, I cannot take this anymore, and then I switched over to the manga. But then just
I'm
one,
going. Go ahead.
then just the general critique is a very common critique is kind of character deaths or the lack thereof in the series, and like it is a flaw for me. It doesn't bother me as much as most people. This arc is the most atrocious use of like characters die, but then they come
Yeah,
back.
but they're back.
Yeah.
Or I needed a light, but
Yeah.
he's fine. You know, it's like
It's
okay,
like-
he just got struck by the 2 million volts,
Like
and he's
2
just
million,
standing there.
20 million or something. Like
Yeah,
I like Enaruka's how quickly he is to try to put someone down, but then no one dies.
and it's like okay, maybe Enelu was just that weak. Nah, I'm just,
And it's
it
like
can't be that. Can't be that.
and it's like this arc for me is definitely the worst offender of that throughout the entire series. Like this has some
Yeah.
of those. I am usually okay with most characters coming back after they die because I like what they do later on in the series. This is one of the few times where I'm like, you should have stayed dead. Like, why did you come back?
Yeah, and you know, I get it, Oda, and like Fairy Tale, is one of my favorite series. There's not a lot of death in that one either. There's, with the exception of some minor characters, there's no major character death, but it's fantasy. You're
Yeah.
allowed to have characters that stay alive. It's not real life.
Yeah,
So that's my only major argument with
but like,
it's not a good writing tool, but it is a fantasy.
Yeah,
So,
it's and it's also it's like I would say that some of the characters does kind of annoy me. The party at the end of this arc is one of my favorite moments throughout the entire series. So it's like if I'd rather have the emotional catharsis of a death versus that entire scene, I'd rather have that entire scene.
Exactly. One Piece is at its best when we get to see the characters just being the characters.
I really like about One Piece is like, and this is kind of best exemplified in the 25th opening, like the one at the end of Wano. This series is about life and the celebration of it.
It is. And that party, wonderful representation of that idea.
So my first thought is put Skypiea in S. I would be okay putting in double S, but I'm fine just leaving it in S.
I think just S. I love
Yeah.
Skypiea. I would say Skypiea is better than Alabasta, but I can't put Skypiea double S. I just can't do that. So
Fair enough.
I'm fine with it being S. Just to be a little bit more objective. We'll get to the subjectivity soon. Don't worry.
Next up, Long Ring Longland. A lot of people really don't like this arc. I thought it was okay.
The Foxy Pirates are like one of those pirate crews that I'm not the biggest fan of, but it's fine. It's a
There
fine.
there were some
It's
funny moments, like
like it for the beginning of Water 7. It's hard to compare it to what's to come, but
yeah, it's not
certainly
it's not the worst thing ever.
no. I don't like. I've connected with this one far more than I connected with Little.
Yeah, and we also got the introduction to Aokiji in this arc, so that's something.
Was it? Yeah, it was this arc, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh gosh, man, it's been
I,
a long
yeah,
time.
I'd say like low B. I think this arc is just okay.
Yeah, low B is fine. Probably, I would put it below Rupert.
Yeah, yeah. It's below Reverse Man. So next up, Water 7. I will say, I want to rank Water 7 and Enies Lobbies together because I just kind of consider those one long arc.
Yeah, for the series, which has a history of making one arc just super long, and when it probably could be two. This is the one time where they broke it up, and I'm like, but it's kind of the same
Yeah, it's like
story.
Water 7 doesn't really have an ending, and Enies Lobby doesn't really have a beginning. Like, heck,
So
it is frequently debated on whether or not the section on the train is Water 7
is
or Enies Lobby.
so
So
I'm okay just grouping them together for the sake of this video.
yeah, for me, they're just one long arc, and for that, double S above Alabasta.
Yeah, I'm fine putting them there. This is so many good moments, even in Water 7. If we are separating them, there are so many good moments. If it's just Water 7, it's not as it's not S tier even. It's probably just A.
Well, it's like,
But
for me, it's
there
kind
are
of,
so many elements of it that are needed for Ennis Lobby to be SS tier.
for me, it's kind of the Lord of the Rings effect where it's like, I can't say the climax is the best, is like the best part of it because it needed all the setup to be as effective,
Exactly.
and all the setup needs the climax to pay off for all of that to be worth it. So it's like, I can't really separate the two because all the buildup in Water 7 makes Enies Lobby so cathartic, and the catharsis of Enies Lobby makes all of Water 7 worth it.
So I'm fine grouping both together, and I'm totally fine putting them in double S. There's no arguments from me.
Yeah.
But we are introduced to Mr. Lucci.
This is also the arc where Luffy becomes a terrorist.
Yes, yes, just blatantly disregarding the world government and the navy that protects it.
Like if Luffy was
Or actually,
it's like if Luffy was kind of a big deal after being Crocodile, everyone knows who the fuck he is at this point.
now it's like, oh, wait a minute, that little guy did that? What?
It was just like,
But yeah, with the burning of the flag, Usopp shoot down that flag. What a great moment.
anyone who says One Piece is not political, but that's one of their favorite moments, I do not understand.
It's quite clearly a political entity, and with one of the main things they're chasing is freedom. We talked about that. How is it not political if we're chasing freedom?
Against an oppressive government.
Exactly.
Like our main
Um,
characters are literally fighting fascism and totalitarianism.
but in the eyes of the government, they are literally a terrorist.
It's if we look at the legal definition, then yeah, they're terrorists. You burn down one flag, you reduce a court system to rubble, and suddenly you're the bad guy.
And, so Water 7, we get also we get Soga King, who I have no idea who that is. I'm
He,
still trying. We're waiting to figure out who that is.
for a series that is so good at bringing back characters, he's like one of the few characters who like never really comes back after this, and I am always so disappointed by that. I mean, I like Usopp. He's fine.
we need someone to fight Von Augur. We need someone to fight Ben Beckman. Where's Soga King? Usopp is a great character. We have mentioned that before. Where is Soga King?
Soga King is Usopp and Soga King work together to take on Van Augur.
Now that might be necessary, and I'd love to see that.
But
We just need to get both of them in the same
yeah.
room.
It's also these two arcs that makes Robin like top 5 characters in the series.
Oh, absolutely. I Want to Live being another one of those just wonderfully emotional moments that you have to just sit back and take it.
I was crying a fair amount during the flashback. And again, when I say this series is about life and the celebration of it, literally one of the most iconic moments is a character screaming to their friends, to their found family, "I want to live."
Yeah, exactly. It's this character who, you know, the entire time said she doesn't want to live, and now it's like, okay, I need to say this. I want to. It's so good. Robin, man, what a great character.
These arcs also utilize Frankie the best, which, like, I like Frankie the entire series. He is used the best in these two arcs.
Yeah, I think unfortunately for the character, he's quite. I mean, there's some good moments he has later on, but certainly this is where overall he's just a
Yeah.
great character.
It's like, it feels like he's the most written into the plot at in these arcs, and then later on he's written to be there, but the plot doesn't. He's not affecting the plot all too much,
Mm-mm.
which is unfortunate because I love Frankie. He is amazing.
Exactly, and so yeah, obviously there's a double S,
Yep.
double S. It's
Cold,
not even close.
coldest take we could probably give on this entire list.
Some people would put this arc as their favorite. Some people put it as top three. I am gonna is this on your top three?
If I'm counting them as one, then yeah.
Oh, okay. See, I would not. I would not say.
Would this be like your top five or?
Oh man, probably top five, top six ish.
Mm.
It's I put it in the 5 or 6 range for me because I like a lot of aspects of One Piece that most people don't. So, but yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Easy SS.
Post Annie's Lobby. I like it. It's like fun little wrap up. Like, new ship. We see Blackbeard again, which I think you enjoyed.
Of course, I always love to see Blackbeard and Whitebeard for that matter. Whitebeard is back, which we didn't mention, but he was introduced.
In Jaya.
Jaya? No, Whitebeard was introduced in Alabasta Saga.
We heard about him in Alabasta, but we didn't see him until Jaya.
Introduced, yeah. No, yeah. But yeah, we could see Whitebeard, Shanks. So we know Shanks is still on the move.
Mm-hmm. He's been on the move for 20 years.
Exactly. We know this is we get another scene. We're like, okay, Shanks is still here. But yeah, Post Ending Lobby is a great wrap up to kind of this whole saga,
yeah.
and also it's a decent wrap up to like Skypiea as well, because from here we move on to a much more of the difference. This is
it's also
where we start to see the change.
It's also kind of the first setup for the Summit War saga.
Yeah, it has the initial playings of that.
Yeah. So I give this like a mid A tier. Like, this does everything it needs to do pretty well. We meet
Probably
Garp.
below Jaya. Probably below Jaya, but I'm fine putting it.
Like, we meet Garp. We reunite with Kobe and Helmeppo. I'm still so shocked Helmeppo is a part of the series. Like, kind of like Bucky, you don't expect him to ever see him again, but he is still there.
He's still there, doing his thing, constantly showing up. He's in movies too.
Was there anything else? We get another party in this, and again, the parties are my favorite.
Parties are just so good.
My desk shakes so much. Like, it is, especially as someone with ADHD, it is not preferable.
It's the good no me.
I'm not going to try doing anything. Thriller Bark.
Alright, so before I read Thriller Bark, I had gotten messages, warnings from you, from our friends, from some of my friends that are like, oh, you're about to start Thriller Bark? Okay, get ready. And I never understood what the warnings were about.
I will say, on my first read through, this is my least favorite arc. On a kind of looking back on it, it's not my least favorite, but it is definitely in my bottom. I put the C tier. Like,
I think this is like the lowest B tier because especially with the connections to Wano from the some of the zombies, and Kaido's mentioned, I believe.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff I like about this. Like, this might be this might be the best arc in terms of comedy. Like, the comedy hits really hard in this. There's some really cool moments. The entire ending with Kuma, the final,
Mm-hmm.
like the group fighting Oars is really cool. It's just
Yeah.
this arc drags a lot at times.
Yeah, even in the manga, it does. That's what it's by no
Like,
means am I going to argue that this is like A tier. It's
it's like
not.
the series does a good job of like you definitely get why it's as long and you don't feel like your time is being wasted. This arc is one of the few times where it's like, do we need to be here for 50 chapters?
Like I remember I was like I don't understand what the warnings were about, but I see why it's
it
regarded as
doesn't
one of the
help that it's in
of the
between.
of the sagas. This is clearly the worst saga.
Yeah, it's like it also doesn't help that it's in between Enies Lobby and Saboti.
Exactly. Like it's
And
clearly not going to help its case.
now it's like two things I absolutely hate about this arc. Well, yeah, two things I absolutely hate. A couple other things I don't really like. Absalom does not need as much screen time as page time as he gets.
I never understood that. Why does he have so much?
Like he
Why do we need him
comes
on
back
there?
again and again, and I hate it. And two, Sanji is he's sometimes one of my favorite characters written, and sometimes he's my least favorite. I actually don't mind it when he's written to be a simp. I kind of like the fact that he's kind of a pathetic loser. I find that kind of funny with the dynamic of him kind of also being a stoic badass. This arc starts the trend of Sanji being a pervert, and I absolutely hate it.
You know, I have been known to be quite the Sanji defender, but Sanji as a pervert is the worst character trait in One Piece.
Like it,
I can't think of one that is worse.
yeah, it's like it's. I can tell with the kind of joke of Sanji being a pervert, it was just trying to be funny. Like that is the ultimate point of it. It is just trying to be a funny joke. But it's the worst kind of joke because it's not funny and it actively ruins his character.
It progressively makes the character worse each time it's done. And I think Sanji has some of the best moments, but it is so dragged down by you have to sit there and defend him for not funny humor that just doesn't have to be written.
It's not funny. It's gross. It kind of like it changes how you see the rest of his behavior too, because the concept of just being this like groveling worm who sees women as goddesses is hilarious. And especially in contrast with his kind of like, because like when you see him, he's kind of like a stoic, smoking, suave kind of guy. But then you find out he's just a loser, and I like that. But this just kind of
That's
takes it a
great.
step too far.
Yeah, it never addresses it like that. It always addresses it in the wrong ways.
Yeah,
So it's a piece of the One Piece comedy that I never and One Piece is very funny.
it is
And there's a
hilarious.
lot of great One Piece moments that are funny, but in Thriller Bark specifically, there is of course Usopp and his fight against Perona, where I've always had a negative person.
The depression has been funny. I'm conflicted on Moria as kind of like a central antagonist. Like, I like
It
the
was nice. Yeah, go
I
ahead.
like the concept of him as kind of like a person like Luffy who went out, tried to accomplish his dreams, and he just lost everything. He failed. That was it. And he's like trying to build himself up again, but he doesn't want to get invested in it again. So he's trying to detach himself from everything. I like that concept. I don't feel like it was all that well utilized.
I think it was the fact that it was we only got Thriller Bark arc.
Yeah, like
If the saga had more, I would have been interested to see more.
and he doesn't really play much of a part after this. Like you see him a bit in Marine Ford, but he is very quickly sidelined.
But it was nice to see once again all the crew working together to
Yeah,
make Oars, and that's a like if that's what we got from it, I'm okay. And we also get nothing happen. So
yeah. It's like the entire ending part with like Kuma and Zoro is some of the best stuff in the entire series. So it's like it's got some high highs, but it has some of the lowest lows of the entire series. So it's like
I
I
say low B.
I say high C.
Nothing happened.
Okay, it's like you have been very lenient with me about some of my rankings, so I'll concede and give it low B.
Because it's not Little Garden, it's not Whiskey Peak. I think it's better than both.
It definitely has elements that are better than both of them, but it's like it for me. It's almost a bit worse than both of them because it is like twice the length of some of them. So it's like it's not like a thing where it's like we're here for a bit, then we leave. We are stuck in Thriller Bark for a while.
Well, some people are. I was only stuck for about 3 hours.
That's not good. Next
now
up,
we begin.
This is Saga. What the fuck was he on writing the stretch of the story like?
My God, when I say that I read One Piece fast, these two arcs were this saga was the fastest I read One Piece, and it was not because of a time limit. I had not reached that point yet. We got there, don't worry, but at this point in time, I was making good pace, and it's like I could have slowed down, but I wanted to read this saga in the span of like 2 days.
It is just captivating. Let's just Sabaody Archipelago. This arc is kind of the series' hidden gem because most people don't really talk about it. You know, people talk about
enough people talk about.
Yeah, like most people talk about Enies Lobby or Marineford or Wano. No one really talks about this arc, which kind of works for when people are getting into it because they don't expect it when it happens.
Honestly, for the longest time, this was one of my favorite arcs, top 3 easily, and to this day is still in my top 5 favorites. This is the best world building we've ever seen.
It's some of the best world building because it really changes kind of how we view everything. Because you also, again, our main enemies are literally a political ruling class who dominate over everything and hold absolute power and are being protected by the world's cops.
And all of those leaders in world, they're not, you know, it's not because they worked for it. It's not because they, deserve it. It's literally because they were born into it.
They were just born into it. That is it. And they just, like, we talked with Arlong. Oda is very good at making you hated characters. I very rarely hated people as much as these guys. I feel tempted to throw up at the presence.
Yeah, the Celestial Dragons with the what's his name? The one from Sabaody.
Charlos.
Yeah,
the one who gets assaulted constantly.
Honestly, probably my least favorite character in One Piece, but it's intentional. He's supposed to be your least favorite character in One Piece.
Like, I feel sick every time I look at him.
And one of the greatest Luffy moments, especially in pre-time skip, is Luffy punching him.
It's like, we also get introduced to Kizaru, who is... I really like Kizaru. He's fun.
But yeah, he's always been... It's hard to say who my favorite admiral is, but... Or vice admiral at that point, but... Such a great character.
We also get introduced in the entire worst generation at this point.
Law, Kid, Boney, Capone, Cavendish.
Cavendish wasn't part of this round.
Rats.
Yeah, but I'd say give this arc a solid S tier. Like, it does everything it needs to do well.
Yeah, I almost say double S just to be that guy. I mean, it is one of my favorites.
I am tempted, but then I think about some of the stuff that, like,
it's like I know
does,
what's
like some of the other obvious stuff that's going to go into double S. I'm like, it's not quite there. It is close, but not yet.
It is still in my top 5. I just love it so much.
It is absolutely fantastic. Amazon Lily. So
at the end of Sabaody, all of the Straw Hat crew are separated, of course. I didn't know where Luffy was gonna go. I was curious. Amazon Lily is one of the most interesting arcs ever.
It is such a curious little thing because This is the first time we're really seeing Luffy by himself since like chapter 2.
And his, I don't want to say ineptitude, his aloofness throughout this entire arc is great.
Like, he doesn't understand what is going on or where he's at, and he doesn't really care to understand. He's like, I need a boat.
Then like that's it. He's like, I just need to get out of here. That's it. He's like, I gotta find my crew. I gotta get a boat.
Yeah.
We're out of here.
Like, literally, the most thought he puts into something is, I need to talk to an important person. That's a tall tower. Important people live in tall towers. I'm gonna go there.
Go there. And this is also where we get the canon fact that Luffy has golden balls.
Wasn't golden balls just like a term used for testicles in general?
Yeah, but still.
We could canonically say this is the arc where Luffy got jerked off.
True. True. And you know what? Didn't think we'd cross that off the bingo list. But we also introduced to Boa Hancock.
By literally kicking a puppy. First thing she does is she kicks a puppy and just like turns a bunch of guys to stone for no reason and is just a very insubordinate person. Like, he is not a good person when we meet her.
Once again, a pirate. But also, I want to mention that I actually saw this. Historians, from my background and stuff, but historians have said that One Piece is one of the best representation of pirate clothing, and it's genuinely because Oda cared so much that he gave all of the pirates genuine pirate clothing.
Interesting.
And so, what warlords would look like that were actual like privateers that had all the money in the pirate world, they kind of looked like that.
Interesting. I thought
So,
Oda was just kind of drawing whatever the fuck he wanted.
no, like he genuinely knows pirates. Like he actually knows what pirates look like.
Interesting.
But that's side note. Just Amazon Lily follows the trend of Summit War Saga. It's great.
It's a nice decompressor from Sabaody while also reestablishing the tension of, oh, something's going down. We gotta do something.
And the most important part of this is, I think this is where Luffy learns that Ace is about to get executed.
Yeah, it's like he's in jail.
Ace being Luffy.
He's set to be executed. Like, and it works as a nice diversion because you think, like, Luffy gets separated. You think he's going to try to get back to his crew and then try to save Ace, and not. No, he has to go straight to Ace. There is no time.
Like, there is no time, so he boards with Hancock to impel down.
But where are we ranking Amazon Lily? I'm like,
I say A.
Like low A. Like, I'd say it's about as good as Romance Dawn.
I don't know. I'd say it's better than Romance Dawn, Drum Island, and Post Ennies.
Yeah, I can live with that.
I think it's like right under Jaya. Now, actually, my friend said Amazon Lily is his least favorite arc. It was a take I hadn't heard too often. I think most people agree it's either fine or better than fine, but
it's like
just interesting take. Said I didn't get into details, but yeah, he had it ranked as his lowest ranked arc.
Interesting.
Didn't know if you ever saw that.
Impel Down.
So it takes new characters. It takes old characters. Let's put them together. And let's make something amazing.
This is probably the most streamlined arc of One Piece, because like normally in One Piece we're like kind of like going on side things or stuff's gonna happen. This is the most streamlined. We're in, we do stuff, we get out.
Well, yeah, I mean Luffy has a time crunch. He has to get to Ace's execution, so being an Impel Down is important. But then he gets caught. Shiryu puts him through the worst pain I think Luffy's ever been in.
You mean Magellan?
Oh, Magellan, that's right.
Poison dude constantly shits himself.
Yeah. Never go on the internet.
My favorite thing about this arc, it is now a plot point in One Piece that Luffy breaks into prison, meets up with a bunch of queer people, and then breaks out of prison with them and goes to war.
He's like, oh, hey, Bon Clay. Come on. Oh, hey, Buggy. Come on. Oh, hey, Jinbei. Come on.
Oh,
Oh,
hey,
hey,
Croc.
Ivankov, come
Come
on.
on.
Hey, Croc, come on. I know we killed each, or no, we tried to kill. Like that's the thing. Like these three of these characters tried to fight with Luffy before, lost to Luffy, kind of lost. I think I call Buggy's more of a tie that ended in the favor of
Yeah, it's like
Luffy, but
attempts to kill each other have been made.
and this is, I think, where is it? Isn't this where Ivankov says that it tells everyone that Luffy's dad is Dragon?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're like, "What?
Well,
Your
actually,
dad is?"
Ivankov didn't know Luffy's dad was Dragon.
Oh, that's right. It was switched. It's the
Ivankov
opposite.
had to
Luffy
find
tells,
out as well.
yeah, Luffy tells Ivankov in this arc that his dad is
Yeah.
Dragon,
I'm.
and yeah,
This arc is just absolutely fantastic. I love everything about it.
and like the Summit War arcs up until Marineford are super like concise.
Yeah,
Like Amazon Lily, I think is 11 chapters.
like we never go above 40 chapters with like any of these, which is really interesting considering the trend for like post time skip. But yeah, I'd
Yeah,
say
20, 24, 11, 25, and then Marineford is only 31.
yeah, that
But
always
once
surprised
again,
me. Which like seeing just how short Marineford is, like so much stuff happens.
but that's the thing. It's like it's so concise. This is like you could see something big is coming soon.
Yeah, it's like we don't got any time to waste. We just yeah, I'd put info down like top of S. Like
Yeah, it's hard for me to say it's better than Sabaody, but I'd say it's in between Sabaody and Skypiea
yeah, I go live with that.
because I just sympathy.
Marineford, we both know where this is going.
At this point, what is there any negative about Marineford? Is there any negative in Marineford from your perspective?
I can maybe think of a couple of nitpicks, but like actual problems, no, not really.
This is for the very long time of One Piece the best.
Like everything that One Piece had been building towards was was somehow serviced off in this arc. Like for most series, this is the best they would ever get for their finale. Like most series hope
Yeah,
they'd have a finale as good as Marineford was for this section of the story, but this is just the halfway point in One Piece.
and my God, it is so like it is so hard to talk about this because there's so much, and it's only 30 chapters, like
Like
34 chapters.
it's always a time when I remember just how short it is. Like again, we waste no time and so much stuff happens, and it's like you kind of feel the rush as you're kind of going through with like Luffy. Like it is like it's go go go. You don't got time to don't got time to think about it. Just you're kind of running through it alongside everyone else.
So Ace is getting put on execution. All of the Marines are here because they know that Whitebeard, the world's strongest man, who is at this point on like the final stages of cancer, like he is not in good shape, but still he is the world's strongest man. And so they prepare every Marine, all of the seven warlords. They're like, this is not gonna end with people staying alive. And of course, Whitebeard shows up to save Ace, but who else shows up to save Ace? Luffy and his hodgepodge crew.
Falling falling out the sky and everyone just looking at them like what the fuck is just it is just amazing.
And this is the first time we get to see a Yonko's true power.
Whitebeard within 30 chapters becomes one of the best characters in the entire series.
He was always the best character in the series. Blah 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 blah. Don't even get it. Yeah, if you didn't, so Whitebeard is my favorite character in One Piece, and most of his strongest moments are in this arc. And so for a character to be your favorite character in 1,107 long story, so in counting, to only have a major role in 34, major screen time, I should say, in 34 chapters, that should say something.
And
Um,
this is our also first exposure to actual real character death. Like, we've had some characters who died before, but not kind of to the scale of the characters who died in this arc.
We gave it a spoiler warning, so we could probably say.
Yeah.
Um, so, and the worst part about it is, Luffy initially saves Ace.
Like, Luffy
They
accomplished what he set out to do.
Luffy essentially does, and they are on the run away from Akainu. What a great villain! What a great.
He is so sickening and detestable. Like,
What a, just we love to watch that, but it's it's the insult that Akainu gives Ace when he makes him it hits Ace to his core. It hits him as a person, and Ace turns around, and that's when you see that's like all the red flags start going off. You start seeing the like "I'm dead" written on all over him. You're like, no, don't turn around, Ace, no, don't. And even if it gets spoiled for you, it's still one of the most heart because you don't think it's gonna happen. They are about to leave, but Ace makes the Ace decision to turn around and confront Akainu for what he said.
it's like kind of like kind of talking earlier about kind of the lack of character death. I will criticize it, but it does lead to such a big impact of this character death because you would expect at any moment he's going to get back up and it's going to be fine, but it doesn't. We're confronted with the sudden reality of he died, he made the wrong choice, and he died.
And even later, with what we know could have been if Ace stayed alive, and even if the Whitebeard pirates still disband, but it's like even if like Ace is still such an important character because of his travels that he made and his importance to Luffy.
Well, it's interesting at this point in time because like we've heard about some stuff with Ace at this point, but we don't really get a deep insight to Ace's life and his exploits and his history until after this. Which,
And we still feel so much for him in this moment.
like, we talk a lot about like our favorite panels and stuff. The "Thank you for loving me" panel is permanently etched into my brain and is one of the most impactful things I've ever read.
It just gave me goosebumps. It is so awesome. We talk about it all the time. One Piece celebrates life. Having a character who is finally satisfied with his life because people cared about him, and Luffy and the Whitebeard pirates caring about him. It meant so, and it just hurts. It hurts. It hurts to watch this character go.
It's like from the brief glimpses we see, we kind of see how he wasn't loved, no one wanted him, and he was kind of still struggling with that for a long time. But seeing his different families that he formed, all the friends he made, just go to war, fight for the death for him, it was like he wanted to keep living at this point. Like, he definitely wanted to go out and live with everyone, but he finally got the answer he wanted. And even at the end, he still, when he was dying, he was talking about like, oh, you love someone like when you such dirty blood. He still did not see himself as worthy, but he still appreciated everyone who loved him regardless.
It is. If that wasn't enough to have the tears going, guess who shows up to Marineford right after? Good old Marshall D. Teach and his new crew mate Shiryu.
And then you find out he had like planned everything that's happened over like the past 200 chapters or so at this point.
And you're like, what? And then he confronts Whitebeard, and at this point, half of his face is gone off. He got stabbed by Crocodile, stabbed a bunch of times, took so many bullets.
He's got like
He's
3 holes in his chest from Akainu or something.
Yeah, Akainu and Whitebeard got into a big scrum because Whitebeard got pissed that Ace died. And after all that, it took so much from all of the Blackbeard pirate crew to finally put Whitebeard down. And he couldn't even fall down. He was still standing even in his death. That is the power of a true Yonko.
And it also has one of my favorite like points of the narrator coming into the entire series of just like he suffered like 400 gunshot wounds, 300 stabs, was shot by a cannon 47 times, but never once did he suffer a wound on his back that he
Yeah,
got from running
we
away.
get the clean image of his back, and it showed that he always faced his enemies. He never ran from them, and that is an idea that is progressed throughout. Like a lot of arcs have that kind of
And
mentality.
kind of showing that he was, again, he was called the strongest man in the world. It was constantly talking about he could rip the entire world apart. He was the closest to the One Piece, like one of the few people who could rival Roger in strength. And dude just wanted a family.
And to top it all off, as memed as it is, his dying words are the most important words that Luffy never wants to hear ever. With Whitebeard's confirmation that the One Piece is real. It's words that Luffy never wants to find out until he actually does, because he's multiple times yelled at Usopp or anyone. He doesn't actually even care if, like, well, he does care, of course, but he
Yeah.
doesn't need to know. He doesn't want to know. It would ruin it for him. So, of course, with Ace dying, Luffy passes out. He can't. So we get that character moment so that Luffy doesn't know, but everyone who's a viewer and everyone in the world, including all of the worst generation that are about to come into play, know, yes, your goal is achievable. Luffy's goal is achievable. There is a One Piece.
Yeah, we've already talked about this arc for a while. It's hard to believe that this isn't the best that the series is ever capable of going. That, like, halfway point, baby.
Halfway point. There's still more to come. Marineford 2, Marineford 2.
Yeah, like I said, most series wish they would have a finale as good as this arc is. And this is such a good climax to this first half of everything.
It, but it is not only is it a great climax to the old world, it also just sets up the new world perfectly.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of where we're going into with the next arc post-war.
Yeah, this one. It's hard to believe that this one is longer than Amazon Lily.
Yeah, well, it's like we get the whole what is everyone doing after Marineford kind of set up for New World, but then we also get the whole Luffy Ace Sabo flashback.
Yeah, and it's good. If it makes you feel a lot, it makes you see why we sympathize so much with the characters. But having the I don't think it was tattoo. I think it was just writing on his arm
Yeah,
and telling the crew like, we'll meet up here, and having the crew see that and notice that. Yeah,
yeah.
it's clever.
I
Um,
I'm tempted to put this arc in one S tier just for the I still have my crew scene.
exactly, and I'd say like high A. I don't think this is Skypiea Impel Down Sabaody,
Hmm. I can see
but
that. Yeah.
yeah, but it is a moment which I'll never forget.
This also really cemented Jinbei as like crew candidate. Like he needs to join at some point.
I wonder if he. I wonder if he does.
I wonder if he does. And so that's pre-time skip. I believe some sources call it like the Super Rookie Saga or something like that. But yeah, it is very interesting looking at the arc number for pre-time skip versus post-time skip, considering this series has been they've lasted about the same amount of time. There's still technically more chapters in pre-time skip than post-time skip, but I think post-time skip's about to catch up to that.
Yeah, pretty soon. I think it's what five. It's a 600 or it's 580. It ends at 580, and then we get time skip.
Okay, so
So
like at some
we're
point in the 1100s, which we're in now, that's when we've had enough as the same amount of chapters post-time skip as pre-time skip.
which man, does it not feel like that and feel like that at the same time?
It's like so much, but yet so little has happened.
Uh, let's get into it.
Return to Sabaody. It's fine. Like
Yeah. I feel like it's only 5 chapters, so it's really
yeah,
hard to compare this to the rest of One Piece. But to get everyone back together and say, let's start. Here we are.
the fake straw hats were pretty funny. We also meet Caribou, who is still around for some reason.
he's still gonna be relevant. He wants to join the Blackbeard. Yeah, he's joining the Blackbeard pirates.
It's I put Return to Sabaody in like mid B tier. Like it's good, does what it needs to do.
It's so hard to rate it. Like it's kind of almost a C tier, but it's a it's
It
fine.
does what it needs to do.
Yeah, and so I'd say below Reverse Mountain, above Long Ring.
Yeah, I can live with that. Fishman Island. This is our first real foray into kind of the post time skip world. We even like I think in the story they've been talking about going to Fishman Island since like Ennis Lobby, and suffered so many detours along the way.
Yeah, when you're running that kind of a crew, you have to.
Yeah.
Like
I know.
imagine if you set out to go to Walmart and then all of a sudden that you heard that there was a Walmart in the sky.
Well, Ennis
You
Lobby they
would
didn't go to
you
Skypea. So it's like
Oh,
for
I thought they
for
were
for
trying to go to Fishman earlier than
no, it's like they found out about Fishman Island at Ennis Lobby, then they
that.
ended up running to Thriller Bark, then they got separated. The entire war happened 2 years later.
But wasn't I thought what's his face? Hachan. I thought Hachan talked to him about it prior to.
No.
Ah, okay. All right. Been a long time,
Yeah.
but regardless.
I know a lot of people don't like Fishman Island. I like it more than most people do.
I probably barely like it. People do.
Yeah.
I'm probably on in the consensus with this
It's
one.
like I will say like the anime for the most part has been. I think the anime did have a big boost in quality for like the Summit War Saga. For like the next 200 episodes, the anime is genuinely awful. Like if someone said they hated Fishman Island and only watched the anime, I would not blame them. The pacing is genuinely atrocious. Like,
Yeah.
it's also not fun to look at. The art style and animation is just so static
Oh.
and uninteresting to look at.
When you think of this like Fishman Island, there's so many possibilities, and we don't really get the best.
Yeah, it's. We also have the full.
But
We also
we
have.
are introduced. Go ahead.
We also have full explosion of Sanji perfect jokes with just. I wanted to strangle him this entire arc. I just wanted to kill him and make him stop.
This is Sanji's worst performance. Man, I am so happy we got Whole Cake because man, this Sanji stocks were at an all-time low after
Like
this.
Whole Cake needed to be as good for his character as it was to make up. Like if his writing was any worse in that arc, I would still completely hate him at this point because he is just that bad in this arc.
It's so annoying, and it's like every single. Oh my god. And also like I don't know, Holdy Jones and Vanderdecken, not the most compelling. But when you compare it to like Crocodile, a kind Blackbeard, even some of the minor ones, like I put Holdy as the same category as like Kuro, right?
It's like I I feel conflicted because like he is a pretty flat villain. I like what he is thematically and how he ties into the whole themes of Fishman Island, which like I'll say in regards of like themes, Fishman Island is definitely one of the best arcs in all of One Piece.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
the way the themes kind of build on each other and are tied into the plot. I like what Horty represents as like he is not someone who suffered hatred at the hands of humans. He is a person who festered and survived on the hatred his own people kind of fed him.
Right.
To the point where his own hatred isn't even rational because it doesn't come from a real place.
This also introduces Joy Boy.
Yeah, this is the first time we hear about Joy Boy.
I wonder who that is, or who is the reincarnate?
Who knows? Could be anybody.
Could be Soga King.
Soge King. That's the best Joy Boy theory I've heard.
Ah, see, now we're thinking.
Yeah. We also find out more about the Asian weapons and Shirahoshi.
Yes, Shirahoshi played a major role.
I like Shirahoshi.
Yeah.
She's a fun character. I wish we see more. I'm excited to see more of her.
Like we're going to see more of her,
Yeah.
so nice to see.
Also, find the best way to say it. I like her design, not because she's wearing a bikini, but I like the idea of just like fucking giant child mermaid.
Giant,
It's like
giant mermaid.
I don't know. That's just kind of fun for me.
Yeah, when there's significantly larger characters in series, um, sometimes it doesn't work. Like I look at Seven Deadly Sins,
Yeah,
Diana. I think I never
Diane. I don't
Diane.
care enough
She
to remember.
doesn't have to be a giant. Okay, I get why she is, but like at the same time, it was a design I never kind of fit with. It's never utilized great, but for Shirahoshi, it works fine. I'm perfectly fine.
It also does what it contrasts with her very like meek, timid personality, even though she's
Yeah,
like usually the biggest person in a room.
exactly.
So
Um, I,
also the
this is
Fisher
this is
Tiger flashback is one of the best flashbacks in the entire series.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh, I forgot about.
So it's kind of in the same boat as Thriller Park for me, where it's like a lot of highs, a lot of lows.
Yeah, this is more painful than Thriller Bark for me, but I'm not gonna like it's for me. It's definitely worse than Return to Sabu. So
Yeah,
that's where I'll draw the line. Where you put it from there, I'll let you decide.
I'm definitely putting it above Thriller Bark for me because I feel like it has a lot stronger elements than Thriller Bark. It has like a very significant and
There,
emotionally resonant through line throughout the entire thing.
there's more of a connection to the story overall with Fishmen than there is with Thriller Bark. So
Yeah,
I'm okay if you put it above it, but I think personally I
yeah,
cared for Thriller Bark more.
yeah. It's definitely not the best showing for the post time skip.
Don't worry, it gets better.
And then we get to Punk Hazard. This is my least favorite arc in the entire series.
Actually, I kind of really like this one.
It's this had the most periods of time throughout the entire series where I'm asking, we did not need to do this. This arc is kind of stretching itself out way too long. Like the beginning, the mystery part of like Fireside, that the ice side, the dragon, the half the samurai, the children, all that is really fun. I like a lot of the stuff in the ending. The fights are all cool and stuff. The middle drags on for so fucking long.
Yeah, considering this is 12 chapters longer than Marineford. Like, imagine that. That
Like
didn't need. It drags the most of all, probably, of One Piece, but there are so many good moments in it.
there are, but it was like they're few and far between. I did not like the body swapping thing. I felt like that did not add anything and just served to drag out the plot.
Never understood that.
The Yeti brothers were kind of fucking pointless. We got recaptured by Caesar like 3 times or something, and it's like Caesar is not that good of a main villain. Again,
No.
like with Buggy, I love him as a side character. I hate him as a main villain.
Yeah, but once again, you need that connection to Don Quixote. You need Law to be there because he wants to plan to take a. This
Yeah.
is where we get the plan to take down the Yonko. This
You could
is where
take
we get
you can easily cut like 20 chapters out of this arc, and it would not damage it at all.
effect in the launcher room. Well, it improve it.
It would improve it. That's it.
Yeah. I don't know. I think this is.
This is
I
C
think this
tier
is
for
on
me.
the
It's
high.
like there's this.
I think it's on the higher end of B. Would you be willing to put it low B?
Uh, I'm putting it below Thriller Bark. Like it has to be bottom of B for me.
Okay.
Also, like I like the initial setting of this arc of like a half lava, half ice island, but then we get to the ice half, and then we just stay there the rest of the arc,
Yeah. It's
and it
like,
gets kind of
okay,
boring to look at after a while.
it's like we're here, but there's another half of the island. If
Yeah.
you're gonna drag this on for 12 chapters longer than Marineford, do something on the
Yeah.
other side of the island. Let's see it.
It's like again, a lot of stuff I do like about this arc. It had the most elements of why is this here? Why are we still doing here? We do not need to be here for as long as it was. This arc
like,
does
great.
not justify its length.
Yeah, I think that's probably my only major gripe with that arc is the length of it. Because it is once again just a setup arc, but compared to some of the other setup arcs, it's not as good.
But the arc it's setting up to Dressrosa is,
Awesome.
is it safe to say double S? I really love this arc.
I think that's a cold take. Dressrosa's awesome. This is what New World, had I been waiting for years to see what was going to happen in New World, this is that payoff finally.
Yeah, this is like Fishman Island and Punk Hazard was not the best opening for the new world, but then Dressrosa was like, hey, do you remember that old One Piece you really loved? Here's it, but even fucking crazier.
So, Don Quixote, Doflamingo, and the Don Quixote family. Menacing. We'd love to hate the, yeah, but like it's such a he's such a
He's
complex villain. He's such a good villain. He's also an awful person.
he's he might be the worst person in the series. Like, there's a lot of people who are just awful, but he's a different kind of awful. Like, you meet some people
Well,
who don't
he's
really care about what they're doing, or some people who just aren't aware. He is aware of every single awful act he is committing, and he really enjoys doing it, and he enjoys the power he feels over others.
yeah, and it's emphasized in just blatant murders, in probably the scariest thing ever for most people is, I mean, he sexually assaulted what's her face?
Vi-
Viola, right?
Violet or
Yeah, Viola, I think.
Viola.
Yeah. It's like that's not cool, but he's a villain.
Like, and I love the insanity of this arc. Like, the way it's 100 chapters, which was kind of far and away the longest arc of the entire series at the time it came out. But there's always so much happening that it feels like there's always a constant momentum going. I
And
the anime sucks so hard for this arc. Like, I genuinely hated watching this through the anime.
I watched the whole fight, the final fight. I think that was pretty good, but I didn't watch before, so I can't say.
It's I think the anime ends up being longer than the manga.
Jeez, there's a long set of chapters.
Yeah, and so
Well, we get Law's probably best moment.
it's like so many fantastic, like, it is still in double S because there's still
Oh
so
yeah,
much fantastic stuff that happens. All the flashbacks are really cool. All the gladiators we get are really cool. The fights are all amazing. The way the tension keeps building up.
and this is where we get Sabo gets the Aces fruit.
Yeah, that was a really emotional moment. We get Gear 4, which some people don't
Oh.
like doesn't like the design of it. I think it looks weird. I like it.
Yeah, it's weird, but it works, right? It's like it's very iconic. Most people can recognize Gear 4.
This is just it's everything we wanted out of the New World material finally delivered and in such a fantastic way.
So, what could be possibly next?
After that, we got our next setup arc of Zoe.
But forgive me. It it is it is this arc where we like Sanji is taken by the Big Mom pirates, right?
Yeah, we go to the elephant and the furry kingdom.
Yeah, the furry. Yeah. Are they? No, they can't. They shan't be. They must be.
This
Furries cannot canon in One Piece.
they are
Must be.
I, these are just furries. There is nothing else to
Yeah,
call them.
but it's good. Yeah, for a setup arc, it's pretty good.
This might be the best setup arc in all of One Piece because
Well, I consider Sabaody to be a setup arc.
mm, I can definitely see the argument for that. But it's like, here's the thing with Zoe. It's like, not only does it tell its own compelling story about kind of what happened there and the whole like Rizo is safe is a fantastic scene. Like, I still get goosebumps every time I go back to it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So it tells its own compelling story. It sets up the plot for Whole Cake of having to go get Sanji back from Big Mom. It sets up the plot of Wano of, hey, this kid's the Shogun,
That's the
Kaido's
goal.
taken over, we gotta go over there. And then it sets up the story for after that of, hey, there's these 4 poneglyphs we need to find if we want to get to the One Piece. So within this span of time, it sets up the 2 arcs following that and then the rest of the series after that.
It does for only having 23 chapters,
Yeah,
it is the most pinpoint and probably well executed of just pure setup. Like it sets up everything, does its job, and it's like let's move on.
yeah. It's
But
like
it does it so well.
I love the world building this arc does. Like the elephant Zunisha is just such a fun idea of just like literal
Mm-hmm.
a giant fucking elephant just walking around and there's just a animal kingdom on its back. It's just so it's like it is so much fun.
I'm willing to put this low S.
I'm yeah. It's like this just it does everything it needs to do in such a well paced out way that it's I genuinely don't have any real faults with that.
I can't really say too much. It's a good, quick, got everything done. Let's move on. But it's good.
It's
It's good at doing that. It's hard to explain because it is pure setup, but it does set up so well.
it sets up it's easily sets up at this point like over 200 chapters of material effectively.
Yeah, and you know what they say, to have a good house, you have to have a good foundation. This is as good of a foundation. This is like the best foundation you could find for
Yeah.
what is to come.
Whole Cake Island.
I don't understand whole cake haters. This
I
is one of the best arcs of One Piece. Top five.
yeah, this is top 5 potentially top 3 for me. It is
It would be top three had it not been for an arc which we included in this list, which we'll get to.
right, but for me this is like kind of the insanity and energy of Dressrosa, but you add like a whole new layer of emotional weight underneath it.
um, I love the Big Mom Pirates. I want to know more about the Big Mom Pirates. I want to know how a person can have 84 children.
It's those guys did not want to pull out. Like there is something about the Big Mom Ussy that like they just couldn't
There's something
resist.
there. There's something there. And you know what? I'd like to know what it is too. But man, emotional moments, fantastic characters, wonderful fights. Sanji gets his second backstory for some reason.
And
Of all the characters to get two, he gets two.
but it somehow transforms him into like one of the most compelling characters in the entire series somehow, which like I guess that speaks to Oda's like strength as a writer that he can make someone as insufferable as Sanji for Fishman Island and I still like him afterwards at some point.
I think one of the most underrated moments is like when Pudding is about to kill Sanji, him looking her and saying how beautiful her eye is,
Yeah.
right? Like that's probably Sanji's, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't like. Okay, this is hard to explain. When I read and watch One Piece, I particularly like Oda's writing more than I like fight scenes or big
Mm-hmm.
grand stage things. So it's little moments like that that mean so much to me. So I would say that's my favorite Sanji
It's this arc is very funny to me because like if you look at it slightly differently, this is the most romantic arc in all of One Piece.
moment. Yeah, somehow,
I mean,
right?
look at some of the dialogue Luffy has to Sanji.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely.
It's like I don't ship Luffy with anyone. I read him as Arrow Ace, like. But if you told me you ship Luffy and Sanji and use Whole Cake Island as evidence, I'm like, yeah that checks, that works out.
It checks all the boxes. It's like, and Luffy's determination to get Sanji back on his crew is something more than admirable,
It
right?
is. It shows his pure loyalty to his crew, to his family. Like these aren't just people he comes across. These guys are necessary for him to accomplish anything. Like he'd do this for basically any of them. Like if they left for some reason, he would go after them to bring them back as he needs them.
I also, this is going to become relevant very soon. I just want to mention that in Whole Cake Island, when they fight Cracker, it takes Gear 4th Luffy to beat one of the Cracker soldiers. We'll get into this later, but I just want to mention
I,
there's a certain character whose stocks are really high as at the moment.
I know what you talk about, but Yeah, this arc is just fantastic. It is definitely one of my favorites throughout the entire series.
Probably one of the best anime moments is Luffy versus Katakuri.
They popped off so hard on like that last episode of the fight for no reason at all.
Just looked amazing. The fight scene was great. Snake Man, what an interesting design to have, Gear Fit or Gear Fourth, which was so big, and then Snake Man being a little bit smaller,
It
a
like
lot more
condensed it
condensed.
down a little bit.
Yeah, condensed version. That's what I was thinking. And Katakuri is one of my favorite One Piece
He's
characters.
just I love him so much. I want to see more of him desperately.
He will join the crew.
I want him to join the Grand Fleet. That's my
That's
my hope. I
he might
am
he might have
I
he
am
might have
so sad that he was. I'm happy that he was in Film Red, but I'm sad he was only in like 2 minutes of it.
Yeah, it was really funny because we had a pretty active theater, right? We were there,
Yeah,
people were reacting. Obviously, we were reacting to every moment. But I think the biggest reaction that anyone gave was me shaking the entire row of seats when Katakuri was on screen.
and it's funny because like at the beginning of Film Red, it's like there's a big. He makes a big entrance like, yeah, I'm gonna go. I need to save my sister. Does not show up for like the next almost 2 hours, and then he shows up for like 2 minutes at the end.
And like Shanks is like, I didn't know the strongest of Big Mom's sons were here. I'm here for my family.
That's
Don't
okay. We
look
don't
at me,
really need to
Shanks.
hear, buddy. We got this handled.
It's like, we got this. Don't worry. Oh wait, no, Shanks wouldn't do that. We got this, buddy. Don't worry.
But yeah, whole cake just
Uh,
fantastic.
double S. I double S. This is for me at this moment. It is right below Marineford as the second best that we have on the tier list right now.
I did. I did actually exactly. That's where I put whole cake.
I'm. I love Whole Cake. It's one of my favorite. And in the One Piece card game, which if you're not already playing, it is a very fun game, and you connect you to a lot of the characters and make fun interactions and potentially make new friends. I'm a big advocate for the game. I currently run the Katakuri deck, so I currently play Katakuri, so I have a lot more sentiment to the Big Mom family.
Oh,
What could be next?
Reverie. This is a. I can't. I. It is such an interesting thing because it's like it reconnects so much of the past cast before it, and sets up some interesting like setup stuff for later. But it is just kind of 5 chapters of mainly recap.
Yeah, it's like, this is what happened. I think Big Mom and Kaido have that conversation where, like,
Yeah.
Luffy's here. Mama.
Yeah, it's like it's. I put it like low A. It's fine. Like
Yeah, nothing. It's once again, when you were comparing arcs that are 50, 100 chapter long arcs to a 6 chapter arc, we have to take it with a grain of salt, because we are saying, does the arc do its job, and does the arc do a fantastic job at that job?
yeah, it's like Reverie. It does good. I always enjoy sitting through it. I really wish I was a fan of One Piece when this arc was coming out, because there was probably so many theories coming out during the time.
Oh yeah, a lot of thinking, I bet a lot of the good theories that we still have today are probably inspired by this arc.
Yeah, so I'd put it like low A. Like
Where are you putting it? Just so I know.
I'm
I
putting
don't think it's.
I'm putting it bottom
Go
of
ahead.
A. Like it is.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Okay, perfect. I agree.
Next up, the single biggest arc in all of One Piece, Wano.
It has to be the biggest.
This
Wano doesn't work unless it's. This is the. Okay. Wano is my favorite arc of One Piece.
it it's not in my top 5, but it's in my top 10.
Wano is, in my opinion, the perfect encapsulation of why One Piece is great. It is a fantastic story that, yes, is long, but each moment it might drag. You might not know why we're sitting through this, part one, act two, why we're going to different acts of this, but it's set up to be a traditional Japanese play style story, and I love the setup. I love the prison camp. I love the characters in Wano. I love the environment. This is one of the prettiest that One Piece has ever looked, especially in the anime. And to top it all off, one of the greatest climaxes to an arc ever.
It's like I said, it wouldn't be in my top 5, but this arc, well, one, because it's so long, it already takes up so much of One Piece that it's, if I were to try taking this arc out, you'd end up losing so much. But this arc really does so much. Like, this is like Marineford was kind of the climax to its part of the story, and Wano is definitely the climax to the next part of the story, and it does that effectively well. Like,
Kaido and Big Mom play such a not like an arrogant role, and it's warranted. These are two people who are still, one is considered the world's strongest creature. One has probably the world's most vast pirate crew up until this point. Like Kaido has been in control of this nation since he took over with no chance of people overthrowing him. He is super powerful. These are two Yonkos just in complete control. So yes, they are arrogant. Yes, they overlook the worst generation. They don't believe in them like they believe in themselves because they've proven they can do it.
it's, I also really love to start with we talk about life in the series, but this arc really brings to the forefront the concepts of freedom and liberation. Like, count how many speeches there are talking about freedom and liberation. Like, parts of this arc read like a revolutionist manifesto of it's hard to explain.
And
doesn't help that it's almost midnight where I'm at, and I'm finally starting to feel tired.
well, luckily, we don't have too much more. But
We're almost done.
Yeah, I personally just think that this arc in its entirety is wonderful, but the end is it's up there for me, greatest fiction ever. The Onigashima Island is so, I dare I say, perfect. It's exactly what I want, and I didn't know I wanted
It's like, I like the ending of up to Gear 5, absolutely fantastic. The ending after that's kind of rushed, definitely in the manga. Like,
yeah, I mean, it is like
this is.
But once again, we spent so long on Wano.
Yeah, it's but it's kind of one of the things most of the other arcs, especially at the double S tier, is the endings are usually my favorite part, and Wano's the only arc where the ending wasn't my favorite part.
I think it's because they didn't spend enough time to celebrate what they did.
Yeah, there was, again, it's a series about life and the celebration of it, and we barely spent any time celebrating.
But like you said before, this arc specifically orients towards freedom. So I think the life speeches, with the exception of certain characters, Odin, and Yamato, but
Yamato should have joined the crew.
That will never not hurt.
I accidentally got spoiled on that from a leak, and I almost punched a wall when I found out about that. Because I had been reading the series, I just caught up to it a month before Yamato got introduced. I'm like, ooh, cool, new Straw Hat. And I waited and I read for 2 fucking years, waiting for us to get out of Wano, Yamato to join, and everything to be fun. And then at the last fucking second,
No, I'm gonna stay with Momonosuke.
I get it. Wano needs protection, but Yamato would have fit into the crew so well. He has such a would have such a perfect dynamic with everyone else. It's
and the worst part of his decision is Luffy said, as long as you're flying the Straw Hat like Jolly Roger, they are fighting with me, not you. I will settle this.
I'm never not going to be mad about that. Before the series is over, before we get to Laugh Tale, I need Yamato to get his ass on that ship.
Please, put him on there. But I do want to briefly talk about Gearfit.
Yeah, that's... God, I have a funny advantage with you over this because I remember reading up to that, and the tension in the air was palpable. Like,
Like,
the chapter before he goes Gear 5th, we had a break week. So it was like, you had the drums of liberation, you had the stuff covering his face. Joy Boy has returned. Break next week. And the entire
but like,
fandom almost
yeah, go
killed
ahead.
itself.
But like, even before that, this is the first time where Luffy's losses to a specific villain almost feel like inescapable.
Like,
Like, obviously there's plot armor, but this is that one time where we're like, man, does Luffy actually win this fight without running away and getting stronger and coming back and trying to live?
it's like, he, at this, before he woke in it, he fought Kaido 3 times, lost each time, and every time before that, Luffy was stronger than he was before. He learned something and was able to fight harder, but he still got beat down every single time.
But Gear 5th, especially the first like instance of when we see it, is the most ridiculous power I've ever seen. It is the Gear 5th chapter is my favorite in One Piece, of course, being in this arc, but also in anime and manga in general. I think it is just it's my like I think I mentioned this before. It is the third greatest moment I think in a manga panel ever. Just
It's
seeing Luffy experience true freedom. That's what he's always wanted. That's what we wanted for him. It's all coming to fruition.
it feels like the payoff to something we didn't know we needed.
But it's like the payoff of payoffs. He can liberate the world with this power and essentially bring new life into a nation that had none.
It's
Yeah, so this is my number one. I could
I'm
talk about it longer, but this is my number one.
I kind of put it in between Whole Cake and like Water 7 as just kind of like a middle ground because again the ending falls a little flat for me, but this is still among the best One Piece has to offer.
I'm okay. I'm okay putting it. Like I said, it's my favorite. I understand objectively, it's not as good as priors, but man, I love this one. It's my favorite.
Yeah. And last, but certainly not least, Egghead.
Now, I've since moved to Japan. I've kind of cut myself off from the One Piece internet, minus the card game internet part. So I don't really know what people are saying about this, besides like a few minor things. This is top three.
Honestly, yeah, like it's. I'm so glad I became a One Piece fan before this arc came out because like I don't think I'm ever going to experience something like this again because like it is literally every arc that has come before it. These 20 plus years of build up, setup, payoff, all joining together in this mesh. Like there's so much stuff happening that it's like I can't turn my eyes away from it for even 1 second.
This is the most intertwined the world has ever felt.
Yeah, like it's interesting when you think about the plot structure of a Egghead versus all the other arcs because like every other arc it's like we get to an island and we stay on that island. We don't really leave. We don't really know what happens to anyone else until after the arc's over and kind of on our way to the next one. But this one we've broken off from the main crew like 2 or 3 times at this point. Like had extended sections where we just did not see the Straw Hats.
And it's all warranted. It's good. One Piece is the only series that can take Jewelry Bonnie and Kuma, two characters which are good characters in their own respect, but are very side characters, and give them some of the greatest moments in a series.
Like there's sometimes where it's like, the series has been going on for like nearly 30 years, so you're wondering like, is it gonna run out of steam eventually? And I remember reading this arc and just watching that page at the end of the Kuma flashback of him, like the one page of like it's him growing up running, and you see
Running, but he's also running in the same pose that
yeah
Joy Boy Luffy makes.
yeah I remember reading that. I'm like, yeah, this is still some of the best stuff coming out of the series, and it's like, it's hard to believe the series has run out of steam at this point because like, it is still delivering some of the best stuff we have seen out of anything.
With obviously for me, the two most recent arcs are in my top three. My top three is Wano, Marineford, and then Egghead. And I think the best manga panel of 2024 so far is Bonnie and Kuma reacting to Luffy achieving, like, showing Joy Boy to them.
Yeah, the series does a lot right. If I had a slight criticism for it that doesn't make it my favorite One Piece arc, it's kind of, we were talking about how the structure is kind of different from a lot of other things, and it makes the arc feel a bit structureless at times, where it's like there is so much
Yeah,
happening, it's hard to keep a formal structure of kind of a way to point everything. It's just like, oh hey, we are here now. Oh, we got to go here now. This is happening.
yeah.
We're focusing on this for a while. We're gonna stay back here for a while. Now we need to focus
It's
on this. Like,
it's very like mixed up, like what kind of happens, and maybe that's because we are just well, no, it's not because you read the series while it was still coming out pre Egghead, so it's not just because we are reading the series week by week. It genuinely does feel like okay, three chapters were with these, then we're over here, then we have to do this, then we have to do this,
yeah,
and we were literally complimenting like Amazon Lily, Impel Down for being so concise, so strong at one narrative and doing it well. This one doesn't have that
yeah,
narrative structure. It is very hodgepodge.
yeah. It's like I said, there have been two stretches of like 10 or more chapters where we just weren't even on the island and focusing on the main characters, and it's like, and at times makes it feel like the conflict on Egghead itself isn't the most important thing.
Now, speaking of conflicts, before I finish Egghead talk, I do want to just quickly mention where are my Von Auger fans? All right, all right. So the anime has done the Blackbeard crew so much justice recently, and the manga for that matter, because we got the recent chapter 1107 peak. But my man one shot soldiers that Luffy had to gear fourth break. And it was a struggle. He couldn't do it by himself. He needed help. My man Van Auger is stronger than gear fourth. My
Uh,
man Van Auger by the transitive property is stronger than Don Quixote.
I am very much going to read Van Auger one-shotting like crackers, biscuit soldiers as just the anime just kind of messing with the power scaling because it does that sometimes. Like in the manga, a character will get hit once, stay down,
I know.
and the anime character will get put once, not go down. It makes it seem like they're stronger than they are. I'm just gonna read that as a dramatic effect thing.
Sleep on the Blackbeard crew while you can, but you're gonna
But
wake up one day.
I'm not sleeping on the Blackbeard crew. I love the Blackbeard crew. Also, I am not a power scaler talk. It is really not what I come to the series for. I will say, I feel like Doflamingo is a lot stronger than most people give him credit for.
uh,
Because remember,
yeah,
he outlasted Gear 4th Luffy the first time around.
he
And
did.
it's like, Luffy wasn't able to take him down in Gear 4th, and then Luffy had a bunch of people have to protect
Yeah.
him, but so Doflamingo wouldn't kill him, and then Luffy beat him the second time around. And
But
all that after fighting Law, fighting Kiros, and doing the whole birdcage. Like, he's a lot
right,
stronger than most of us give him credit for.
yeah, I'm not gonna say he's not. I'm just saying Von Auger is strong. ride the hype, Von Auger crew, wherever you are.
But
But to finish off with Egghead, all the setup has been great. All of the fights have been great. I'm so interested to see what's gonna happen,
yeah, it's like,
especially considering we have so many different people on the island at this point.
it is quite a mess, but it is top 5, maybe top 3. I'm going to put it below Wano for right now, and then depending on how it ends, that might affect its placement.
Yeah, I can't right now. I definitely can't put it above Wano, and in our more or less objective ranking, I cannot put it above Wano.
But yeah, that's our that's our tier list ranking of One Piece. Any you can't see what I'm seeing, can you?
I did the same thing on my end. So
Okay, so any like I think this is good. I don't really see anywhere I want to move stuff.
the only thing I see that maybe we move is as long as I've done it in the same as you, is where is Arlong Park and his lobby?
So I just have Ennie's Lobby next to Water 7 because, like I said, I just considered that one arc.
Yeah.
And then I still have All Along Park, bottom of SS. I'd be fine moving that down to top of S. Like, it doesn't really matter the placement for that for me.
I'm looking at the SS one, right? And I'm
Yeah.
seeing Whole Cake, Marineford, Wano. Maybe we give Arlong an S.
I'm fine with that.
And that's not me hating. I'm just
Yeah,
literally
it's
looking
like
at
you compare it to everything else, and it's like,
like if I'm to think of what are the top like of what is the best of One Piece, like it's the arcs that we have in SS
yeah.
minus Arlong. But tell us what you think about your opinion. I'd love to hear our viewers' opinion. Um, seeing what arcs you liked, what arcs you didn't like. If you agree on the Von Arger hype, if you disagree on the Von Arger hype.
You're gonna ride that for a while, aren't you?
Until I see him lose.
Fair enough.
Canonically has has less losses than Luffy.
We've also seen him fight how many times?
One.
I mean, technically, we saw him fight against
right?
Ace, and he lost.
It wasn't a loss. It was a tie. Ace literally that set forth the plot to get Ace killed. That's a win.
That was Blackbeard doing. Van Augur tried to fight him and lost.
But
I'm gonna be devil's advocate to
who's
your
still
Van
alive?
Augur love.
All right. I'll remember that. You keep hating. Keep hating.
I am only hating because you're hyping him up so much.
You know what? What if Van Augur is Soga King?
I'll believe that.
You didn't think. You didn't think about it. Didn't think about that.
I didn't think about it. But
you're gonna take all that hate back.
The day that Van Augur truly does something revolutionary, I will zoom out my camera, bow before you, and beg for your forgiveness.
I await that day, and the day he, in the other dimension where this doesn't happen in my dimension, but with the day he loses credibility, I will commit that same action to you.
Well, looking forward to it.
And we have a sign that says I was wrong.
And we look forward to seeing you guys next time.
Yeah, please leave comments below. Tell us what you think about One Piece. Our next video will be covering a review of a wonderfully musical series, Bocchi the Rock.
I am quite excited for that.
Stay tuned.